Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grizzly Bear Sim's YouTube channel, and welcome to what I think is going to just be a very short video here with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, the brand new flight sim from Microsoft that came out back in August. We are here at my home airport, a little airport, a Kilo Alpha Papa Alpha Centennial Airport, which is located about, as the crow flies, probably about 5 miles from my house. And I think I might have talked about this briefly in the comparison video that I did a few weeks ago, but I absolutely love, especially when the aircraft are, well, either departing north or even landing south. They come right over my house, and everything from corporate type jets to your Cessna 172s, etc. Even some old military aircraft will sometimes come in. There's quite a bit of activity here at Centennial Airport. And here in this building, even though it's not modeled 100% correctly, this is one of the places where you can get one of the best burgers in town at the Perfect Landing restaurant. And if you're ever in the Denver area and you want to sort of tie in lunch perhaps, or maybe even evening, afternoon drinks or something, and of course this is probably once COVID is we're done with that. You can come out here to Centennial Airport and have a burger while overlooking the runways and the taxiways and everything here at Centennial. And it's just a fantastic little restaurant, and I've enjoyed going out there quite a bit. If I can find my airplane, let's see, is it this one? Nope. Oh, there it is, right over there. Um, and as a matter of fact, one of my friends, a longtime friend, um, is he and I. He was still in school when I met him, and this was probably 20 years ago. And met him through the hobby of flight sim, and he got his pilot's license. He is now an air traffic controller, actually here at Centennial Airport, and just a fantastic guy. And I've met him a couple of times out here at Centennial. Let's get the aircraft fired up, and I'm going to do a few circuits around Centennial Airport and talk to you about a few things, uh, especially related to the latest patch that came out. So just bear with me a moment. We'll set our altitude at about 7,000 feet. This airport is just almost 6,000 feet, so we'll set it at 7,500, just that way in case I want to kick it in for a little bit of hands-free action. I can do that, and we are going to be departing north today. The winds are favoring that direction out of the north, and so we will go ahead and take off our parking brake and proceed to taxi out to the active for 35, will be 35 right. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I am having a super day. It is mid-September, and I believe it's the 17th of September. And yeah, just a fantastic day. Went out for a brief walk. I've been kind of talking about on some of my other videos, some of my farm sim videos, truck sim videos, etc., that you'll find here on the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. Been talking a little bit about, since I've been unemployed for quite a while due to some corporate restructuring and other stuff, and maybe part of it's related to COVID. I don't know. But I've had a lot of DIY work to do and a lot of stuff on the honeydew list. And while that project list isn't 100% empty, I have reached a point to where that I have a lot more time to spend creating content for my channel, as well as blogging about the various subjects related to the simulation-based games that I enjoy playing. And of course, one of those is, of course, Flight Sim. It is the very first, well, Flight Sim isn't a game, but for lack of a better description, it's one of the first games that I began playing way back in the 80s. Yes, I am that old. My first video game, I guess, was a Pong that we connected to our black and white TV back in the 70s, and then I graduated up to the Atari type platform, and then had a Commodore 64 back in the early 80s, and Flight Simulator came out on that platform, and it was the same version that Microsoft ended up publishing for PC a few years down the road, and I just sort of graduated from the Commodore 64 to my first PC probably in the late 80s or very early 90s, and then have been enjoying every version since then. And I will tell you that I am just absolutely in awe of what we see in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, especially compared to P3D. And I did the comparison video, and some folks didn't necessarily like that, but oh well, it's my channel. But I really do think that in time, and that's really the operative word that we all need to focus on, is in time. This is going to be a phenomenal flight sim. It really truly is. We need to just give time to Microsoft and Asobo, allow them time to work out some of the bugs, and they're making really great progress. I mean, the previous two patches that they have released now since the title came out in August have in most cases have improved the game. Now this latest patch, 1.8.3.0, that came out on Wednesday, the 16th of September. This patch did break one thing that's kind of important to me, because I was really looking forward to seeing what sort of improvements they had made to the aircraft stability, avionics, etc. And so I went in to sort of readjust my, we'll do an intersection takeoff. I don't have traffic turned on, and we're not on VATSIM, and I'm not going to worry about the in-game ATC because it doesn't work, and it probably never will. And quite honestly, if you are ever looking for it to be top notch, you're never going to be satisfied with the built-in in-game ATC. You might as well come over and enjoy all the fun that is VATSIM, because that's what you're going to want to do. So let's go ahead and get lined up here. We've got plenty of runway. This runway is long enough to land probably a 757, maybe even a 767 out here if they ever chose to do that. And let's go ahead and get started. We'll get airborne, and then I'll kind of pick up my thoughts where I left off there. Long enough, we don't need flaps. The aircraft will just almost take off by itself. Just about all airplanes really want to fly. I mean, that's what they want to do. And I started watching Formula One back in like 2000, 2001. My wife, which was then my girlfriend, introduced me to Formula One. She's from Belgium. She had lived a number of years in the UK, and we met in the UK. We met in our London office that we both used to work for. And she introduced me to Formula One. And basically, a Formula One car is like an airplane that's turned upside down, obviously, because the faster it goes, the greater ground traction, grip traction, and everything that it has. And I firmly believe if you were to take a F1 car and turn it upside down, you could actually make the thing fly. But anyway, that's not what this story is about. So we'll go ahead and let her climb on up here. This patch, the one thing that it broke, and I'll talk about that first, and then kind of talk about some of the improvements that I've certainly seen with this patch, is it broke the ability to change your controller sensitivities. And at first I wasn't sure if this was just something that was related to my sim, my instance, in other words. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, do I need to uninstall and go through the hassle of re-downloading this whole thing. And so I went out and posted on the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 Discord channel. And within just basically 30, 60 seconds of my posting, got comments back from a few folks that said, yeah, it's happening to them as well. And Microsoft was already aware of it and already planning to patch it. Now, what we don't know, and I still don't know this even some 24 hours after this patch has been made live, is whether or not we're going to need to wait until the next patch cycle, which I think Microsoft is kind of leaning towards releasing patches like every 30 days or so, or if they will maybe do some sort of hot fix, push something out sooner rather than later, just to help with this problem. Because I can only imagine for folks that are coming into simulation now, into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and wanting to set up their controls, I can only imagine how difficult that's actually going to be without the ability to set those sensitivities. I talked a little bit about the controller setup. I posted a video a few weeks ago about how I went about setting up my older controllers, which weren't automatically recognized by Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and how I had to go through and sort of identify each, the ailerons, the elevators, the throttles, etc., and set those up. And I can only imagine that if somebody's just now coming into this and wanting to get their stuff set up, especially if they got older hardware like I do, where you really need to back those sensitivities down, so because the springs are loose or whatever, they're not going to be able to do that. Now, the good news is that if you had your sensitivities set the way that you sort of wanted them before the patch, then everything Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 remembers that, and for the most part, everything is fine. That's Park Meadows Mall right down below there on the left that I'm sort of dipping my wing towards. That is our closest major mall here in the area where we come out to shop when we need to shop. But one of the things outside of that, and I haven't really bothered testing the Airbus or actually any of the jets, so to speak, just because I've sort of talked about this before, that I enjoy the immersion from the study level aircraft like the PMDG 737, the 747, 777, when it finally makes its way to P3D version 5, and either the FS Labs or even the Aerosoft Airbuses. I enjoy that level of immersion. So we don't really have that with the default Airbus or even the default Dreamliner or the 747-8 at this present time. Now, there is the project. I've blogged about this on my blog site, grizzlybearsims.com, about the fly-by-wire project for the default Airbus. And it has made wonderful strides towards getting a lot more of the functionality of the Airbus working, but there's still so much underlying functionality that is really that team relies on Microsoft and Asobo for, that it's still not as robust, and nor will it probably ever be as robust as the FS Labs Airbus. It might get to a point to where that one might can say that, well, it's fairly close, resembles fairly close to the Aerosoft, but I think we're weeks and months away from that. But I think I heard that the progress that had been made on that mod has been set back some because of the patch. So of course I think that's probably natural, because we see this with other simulation-based games sometimes, where the developers of the game itself will put a patch out, fix something or whatever, and it breaks some mods. And so I think that's what we're seeing with this fly-by-wire mod for the default Airbus A320, is that it's kind of broken some things. So those guys are going to probably need to go in and tweak some of their settings and whatnot, and then sort of get it to work again with the default Airbus. But one of the things that I was noticing that was really a major pain for me, because I enjoy flying the A2A Cessna 172, the 182 in prepared version 5, and that those aircraft are stable as can be. Now, I do not have any real world pilot experience, and the last time that I've been in a single engine aircraft, I was about 5 years old. Of course, have traveled quite extensively on commercial airliners and everything before. And my last flight, actually, there was a Twitter post this morning that somebody was asking when was the last time you were on an aircraft, and that was last summer, the summer of 2019, on a British Airways 747 from Denver to London Heathrow and back. And now those are retired. I could not have imagined, if you would have told me in the summer of 2019 when I was sitting on that aircraft, that that would have been the last time that I would have flown on the 747-400. I would have said, no way, these things will fly for another, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. And but COVID happened, and we're all in this together, right? But the thing that really troubled me about the Cessna 172, and like I said, this is my favorite aircraft, the general aviation aircraft to fly, and I really wanted to explore more of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and because I don't necessarily want to fly the Airbus or the other aircraft, and I'm enjoying the low and slow approach and really looking at the details of the ground, the textures, the buildings, everything, looking at different things and saying, yeah, that's Park Meadows Mall, or that's Cherry Creek High School, or whatever, or this is Cherry Creek Lake that's coming up here just to our left in front of us. But this thing before the patch, before the 1.8.3.0 patch, and I don't know if you also experienced this, but this thing was like riding a bronking bull. I mean, it was bobbing up and down, and of course our weather interpretation, injection, or whatever has been amiss since the beginning, and that is a little bit better now. At least I'm getting different weather reports when I'm flying with real world weather on different wind conditions. Before, I think it just always said the wind was 2 knots from the west, I think was pretty much what it said for me most of the time. But now we're getting a little bit better weather injection into the sim, and that's made things a lot more interesting. And I think that even performance has improved. A lot of folks are talking about getting anywhere from 5 to 10 frames more with the patch from the 16th of September than what they had been getting before that. And then, of course, the very first patch that came out in I think in late August, a couple of weeks after the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator, I believe that even improved performance by maybe 5 to 10 frames, something like that. I'm still getting a very solid 70 to 80 frames per second. Of course, recording, that's going to degrade that. I don't have my frame counter turned on right now, and that's not really what this video is about, but it is just what it is. But I think that in time, Microsoft will continue to optimize the simulator, and of course also in time we're going to have additional goodies provided to us in the form of add-on aircraft and even more sceneries and such like that. And that's just going to make things so much nicer and so much better. And of course, I'm still loving P3D version 5. I would love it even more if PMDG would get the 777 out to us. But I'm having fun in the 737. I'm having fun in the FS Labs A320, and even flying quite a bit of the Aerosoft 319 and 321, since those are the only 2 versions of that aircraft that are available at the moment for P3D version 5. But I did see on FS Elite within the last 24 or 48 hours that FS Labs is readying the A319 for P3D V5. So I'm hoping that we would see that within maybe the next week to 10 days or so. There's no news as far as a date goes for that particular release, but I'm hoping that we would see that sooner rather than later. But in all in all reality, these last two patches have certainly moved the needle in the right direction. Yeah, it broke the sensitivities, but I'm sure that because everything is a lot more stable, the aircraft, I can trim the aircraft out right now. My hands are off the yoke, and it's trimmed out. It's flying nice and level. I was not able to do this. I was not able to do this before. And so I'm very happy with, at least from a general aviation perspective, of what Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is providing for me. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm pushing for 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I would really appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button. I don't want to beg for subscriptions, but I'm working very hard to get the channel moving in the right direction. I've got time now to record content and get that produced, and I am going to have more flight sim content coming out in the very near future. And but I would appreciate the subscription, and leave a like and click the bell. You know the drill on all that. And in addition, if you would also check out my blog site. I'm an independent flight sim blogger. I'm not associated with any of the other news sites, and they do a fantastic job. There's no way I can compete with the likes of FS Elite or even FlightSimulator.com or FlightSim.com, I think it is. I just don't have the staff. I don't have the staff. It's just me. But being independent, I can more or less say what I want to say and write what I want to write about. And I did reach out. I was contacted by Orbix, and they sent me some of their scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 for me to review and post on the website. I have posted already one on London City, and maybe by the time you see this video, the second one will be live on my blog site, and that one will be reviewing Innsbruck, Lima Oscar Whiskey India, LOWI airport, and fantastic sceneries. And I sort of touch on the fact that we thought with the new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and especially with these custom handcrafted airports that Microsoft and Asobo were creating, that we wouldn't necessarily need to buy add-on airports. But I sort of touch on this with the article that I wrote about Innsbruck, and even how Microsoft and their vast team of developers and resources and everything didn't do as good a job with that handcrafted airport as Orbix did. Orbix just hit it out of the park. There are things that you will only see, and to me, eye candy is so important. The immersion factor of all of this that we're seeing and being able to do through a desktop flight simulator is just so important. And Microsoft left out a lot of things, and so I point some of these things out in my blog article. And I would really just encourage you and ask you to go and read these. I also recently talked about the news information, the news release from both Rex as well as Hi-Fi Simulations. They're the Active Sky folks, about their weather add-ons for Flight Simulator 2020. And like you, I thought Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 was supposed to have this fantastic built-in real-time weather engine. And I still think that will be something that will come to us down the road. I'm a little high here, but that's okay. I've been sitting here gabbing with you and haven't been necessarily paying attention that it was about time to come in for a landing. But and I think in time that we will see the Microsoft built-in real-time weather be on par with what we currently have today with P3D, with Rex, or with Active Sky. And Active Sky has always been my go-to weather add-on, but I certainly didn't anticipate or didn't even want to have to spend another $35, $40, $50 on a weather add-on program. And I sort of talk about this in the blog article that I wrote and published yesterday. So I would encourage you to visit my blog site. It's grizzlybearsims.com. Again, that's grizzlybearsims.com, and take a look at that, read that. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my theory behind that. I think that maybe there could be room for a third-party, sort of a third-party weather add-on, if only for folks who enjoy flying with historical weather. If you want to go and fly in weather conditions, for example, like a hurricane or something like that, then obviously you could dial in those historical weather conditions and load those into the sim and do that. And maybe Microsoft, the built-in stuff with Microsoft will not allow historical representation, and that's fine with me. I don't tend to do a lot of historical flying in that respect. I tend to kind of just go wherever the weather interests me, or wherever I was last, wherever I last landed. But you'll find that my blog site, you'll find the link down below in the show notes. It's grizzlybearsims.com, grizzlybearsims.com, and subscribe to that in your favorite blog reading software, or just bookmark it and come by and check that out. Also, I have a Discord channel, Grizzly Bear Sims Discord, and I'll put the link to that down below as well. And I've got sort of sections for various simulation-based games that I enjoy, like Farm Sim, Truck Sim, and of course our wonderful flight simulation, which is not a game, by the way. It is a simulator. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that I have, touched on and helped answer any questions you might have had regarding the recent update. And certainly, if you have been sort of struggling to adjust your sensitivities and wondering what in the world is going on since the update, well, just stand by, and that'll get addressed at a future time. But I will say that it is the handling of especially the Cessna 172, and I don't necessarily know what special treatment it got. Maybe just an overall flight dynamics within the sim itself. The improvements made to that was what fixed the issues of the bobbing up and down, and unable to really get it trimmed out like I would like it to. And even if kicking on autopilot, which I didn't use today, but even that was suspect. I mean, it wouldn't always track. It might go up 500, 1,000 feet, and then come back down even below another 500, 1,000 feet below the altitude that I had set. And just, I don't see those problems with the A2A. And the good news is that I don't see those issues now with this aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. And again, please drop a subscription if you would be so kind, and also join up on my Discord. You can post screenshots, and I'm going to set up a section where you guys can post your videos as well. Just give me a couple of days to get that done, and I will get that done. And also check out my blog site and bookmark that, and let me know your thoughts on some of those articles. I write a lot of opinion stuff that's more or less based on my opinions, but the review stuff that I'm doing on Orbix, I would appreciate you guys to take a look at that. And if those titles interest you, then certainly feel free to get those titles. They're wonderful, wonderful pieces of art. I mean, um, Orbix is one of the best in the add-on airport scenery space that we have available to us. And anyway, thank you all for watching, and take very good care of yourself and also of each other. God bless you all, and we'll see you at the next video. Bye for now.